Hello, everyone, and welcome to Maidens of the Spear, where we talk Wheel of Time and we have a really good time. I'm Mary
really
Lou.
good time. I'm Sarah. And Mary Lou, what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about the Steppinwolf Theory.
Okay.
Today we're talking about the Steppinwolf Theory. Twitter was put into a bit of a flurry this week when the Wheel of Time Instagram account posted this picture of the half moon axe, which we'll talk about whether or not that is an accurate description of whatever's going on right there. And then a slider scale that you could slide and say, how wolfy was this? A wolf emoji. And the correct answer was like very wolfy. Like, or not the correct answer, but like the popular poll results were like very wolfy. It was very high. So a lot of people took that to mean we saw in the trailer an actor who's been cast as Steppin, a warder. That's him, Steppin. A warder whose Aes Sedai dies. That's him kissing her ring at her, theoretically understood to be her funeral. And the theory is that the character of Elyas is being subsumed by this character, the warder, Steppin. We know
like
that Steppin is the one who carries that axe. I struggle to call it an axe. He carries two of them, and he does this awful, stupid leap in the trailer that leaves him very vulnerable to attack. But he does it regardless because apparently somebody thought it looked cool, but I don't think it looked cool. I thought it looked weird. And so we know Steppin carries this axe. And if they're telling us that this is the half moon axe, famously wielded by Perrin, the wolf brother, then that would mean that Elyas's character is probably being absorbed by Steppin. So this theory was deemed the Steppinwolf Theory.
Yes, yes.
I think the Steppinwolf Theory has legs. I do think it's correct. Does that mean I like it? No. And let's talk about that axe.
Okay, first of all.
What shape is that, Sarah?
This axe?
Yeah, that shape.
I'd call it like a big old bunch of dumb, stupid axe shape.
A big old bunch of dumb, stupid axe shit. What does a half moon look like?
That's a good question.
It looks like half of a circle, right?
Let's look up a half moon.
A half moon. What shape is that? Half moon.
It's like a semicircle.
Weird. Yeah, you see that shape there? It's like a full circle, but in half.
Let's go back to this axe here.
Now, what is that? That looks like maybe two crescent moons. Definitely not one half moon.
Maybe. Yeah, we did got him, Big Bad Hat. Here's the thing. I think every single person who read the series, and by every single person, I'm just talking about me and projecting onto the rest of the fandom and pretending my opinion is
based on
correct.
The Twitter responses, Sarah, I actually think you are very much not alone. Because I definitely pictured what you have in front. Yes, that looks like a half moon to me. And it was described with having a point on the other end. That cruel spike that Perrin had such a tense relationship with. The half moon axe with the cruel spike on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, this right here. Look. So
first of all, not a half moon. Second of all, I don't think even that would be a good axe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could get around that by saying like, it's a power wrought weapon. The blades might look flimsy, but trust me, they'll never break. And like, okay, whatever. It still looks stupid.
It looks stupid. It looks like dumb.
This is like style, like just style over substance that I'm really afraid that this show could turn into. Where like if they're making choices being guided by that would be sick, it'd be so dope. It's not going to be a good show, unfortunately. Like Garage Sitter says, I haven't seen anyone who loves the axe. I'm sure they exist, but still, I agree. I think like prop department and maybe Rafe was guiding them with this. They just like got too in their heads about this. They wanted to give Perrin an identifiable weapon. They weren't happy with just, you know, a big ass axe. And so they made this thing and it just looks unrealistic. People who are like, it looks short.
Look how close his hand is to the blade.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, you can't two arm swing that sucker. Like it's supposed to be like this perfectly balanced but large battle axe that like Perrin, this hulking blacksmith, uses. It's very silly. Very silly.
Really, really disappointing.
But aside from the design of the axe, which is just going to be what it is, let's talk more about the potential fusion of Elyas into this character of Steppin. And Mary Lou, you seem to have intimated that you're not a fan of that change.
I am, well, mostly not a fan of the axe. I just think it's really stupid and bad.
It's a stupid axe.
And the jump that Steppin does, I think is like bad fight choreography and it's just like not cool.
Little Stink says they feel like the show asked the Lego marketing team what sort of axe they would prefer for Wheel of Time sets and just went with that.
Yeah,
totally
it feels like they did not consult any real armor makers. Like that's a thing that people still do. People still create armor and like have knowledge and real theories about that. And that's not just imagination anymore. Like we have people that still have those skills. So why weren't they consulted? I feel like a real armorer, a real iron worker would have been like, yeah, that's not gonna cut it. That's not a weapon. That's like a toy.
It's very silly. Very silly. Okay. I'm just gonna force us again to watch the scene in the trailer.
Let's, because it's frustrating every time.
It's frustrating every time.
Look at Nynaeve being a badass.
Nynaeve's a badass. Okay. Up. This is it.
Here it is.
Look at him. Look at him flying weirdly through the air. It looks like he jumped up 3 feet and then a wire just dragged him the rest of the 10 feet across.
Yep. Ugh, it looks so bad. I wish we do it in slow motion. We can't even see really who he's attacking.
We can do it in slow motion.
Look at himself, leaving his entire body, his entire chest, soft parts, throat, intestines open to attack. It's like such a bad move that no real fighter would do.
Yeah. This is Logain here.
Is that what that is?
I think this is Logain being shielded.
And those are the white threads of the power.
Is Logain wearing those red robes in the trailer? Anyway, as Leah points out, yes, the shield on this person looks weird. I will say so far, I don't love what the power is looking like.
I also don't love what the power was looking like. I thought it would have been cool if Saidar was white threads and then Saidin was black threads. That would have been very interesting. And I think based in the books and theory of white and black, Saidar, Saidin.
Black has to be like the true power.
I guess.
That's shadow magic.
Well, I'm just talking about Saidar, Saidin.
No, I know, but like
the seal being black
just
and white.
Like visually, thematically, if Rand is the light, it's weird if he's like channeling black threads against the shadow.
I mean, you can have or you can have black look shiny and like not like I don't know. I thought it would have been cool.
It's the same power though. Marin Skell maybe says, "I know what would look cool: a double-headed can opener or two."
Yeah, that made me laugh as well, Marin.
Like. That is exactly what it looks like. This is such a dumb scene, and I am not looking forward to it. A warder wouldn't do this.
Great Aja says Matrix vibes, but in the wrong way. I totally agree.
This is like Achilles in the shitty Troy movie vibes. Brad Pitt leaping with the spear. It's so bad. Anyway.
So anyway, I'm not opposed to the idea of the character of Steppin. I think it's really interesting that we would meet him earlier, and that a wolf brother is a warder. That is something I never thought of. I think it really kind of hits against Elyas's
Marilyn,
character.
before you dig yourself too deep on this.
Spoiler free.
Elyas was a warder.
Was a warder.
Well, so was Steppen.
Oh, great point. Ooh, interesting. So this could be like a sort of
and we also meet Elyas pretty early.
Oh, I know.
In the Eye of the World.
I know. But what I'm getting at is that the character of Elyas is so anti-society, anti-White Tower, anti-control, anti-anyone having strings on him, right? So if I'd be interested to see what the Steppen character does, after his Aes Sedai dies.
I'm hoping this is just the origin of where Perrin gets his stupid axe. I'm resigning myself to this being Perrin's axe. I think that's the best explanation for calling it the Half Moon axe.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other explanation for it. I just don't like it. And I am going to complain.
I'm hoping Elyas is his own character. But if Steppen loses his Aes Sedai and then, takes on the name Elyas when he goes to become a wolf brother, there's just no point in renaming Elyas into Steppen. They could have had
why wouldn't they just call him Elyas? Elyas is a cool name.
Yeah, it's very silly.
Lionheart, you're not wrong. Lionheart says Perrin is kind of lame anyway. Listen.
We have a lot to
We
talk
have
about
issues with Perrin.
That'll be a different discussion entirely, Lionheart.
Different video. I'm excited to see what the show does with Perrin, to see if they give him a little bit more of a backbone, little bit more of something.
Well, you heard, speaking of changes, a lot of people think he's going to be married in the pilot.
So where is the like what is that based in? Because I have seen that, but I don't know where people are getting that from.
Well, they're getting it from just from people obsessively patrolling casting announcements. There's a character from the Two Rivers, a Two Rivers girl, and people are like, who's it going to be? And they're like, I bet it's Perrin's wife. And then in the trailer, there is a shot of him where you can see that he's wearing a wedding ring, and I'm just scrubbing through to try to find it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, but they don't wear wedding rings in the Two Rivers.
Right.
So it could be just like a ring?
Could be a ring. I mean, it could be entirely a fan base jumping to conclusions for no reason other than they're bored and waiting for the show to come. Oh, it was in I
don't see any reason why he would be married.
Oh, yes. Okay, so thank you, Gray. I was just sitting in the listing stake. There was a character named Layla Ibarra. And in the EU photo shoot is where we see Perrin with the wedding ring.
Interesting.
Yeah, so how would you feel about that if Perrin has a wife who dies in the Trolloc attack on Winter Night?
Honestly, first gut instinct, wow, violence against women to spur on a male character's motivation. Frustrating and a little lazy. But I don't know, could be fun. Could be interesting. It's kind of the Disney thing, right? The mom always dies. I think it's a little lazy to be like, my wife, I must run. She's dead now for no reason. Like there's no reason for that. Perrin has good enough motivation to leave. He's being chased by otherworldly shadow spawn, and his friends are going and such.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm a little not interested in this wife thing. I don't know why. Do they think it needed to be made more exciting? It's plenty exciting.
They needed some drama. They thought Perrin in the series, I think he had it too easy, being thrust onto an adventure against his will and coming back to his home after delaying a couple months to find that he just barely missed rescuing his entire family and that his parents and all of his siblings were murdered by White Cloaks and Trollocs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a good time.
That's not good enough?
That's not good enough. I think it's part of their Little Sting Sting says, see, Rafe was on vacation in Southeast Asia and saw a wife, and he was like,
I want
honestly,
that for Perrin.
that's kind of how I feel, though. Like, some of these changes are just like unnecessary. The Wheel of Time it's a really beautiful, well-constructed series that like has its flaws, but I don't think the flaw is that like Perrin was unmarried when he set off.
Yeah, I do agree with Grey Aja Sitter that I think that Perrin has the most to gain from adaptation. Like, his character trope in the first few books is just like, not so sure about this, guys, which is so fucking boring. And he has such potential to be such an interesting character, right? He's strong but gentle. He's incredibly violent but doesn't want to be. Like, that's so fascinating. But what he ends up being is just the like, I'm not so sure, guys, let's think about this, right? Calm down. Let's not do anything rash, which is so
he's that kid from the Magic School Bus.
Yeah, he's so, in my old school, we didn't do stuff like this. Like,
in my old school, we didn't have awesome magical wolf powers.
Yeah, and the way he like refuses to use his wolf powers is just like so tedious and not interesting.
At my old forge.
Yeah, Grey Aja says, I think it sounds like a shock value move.
Sherbet Mango says, just the first book? More like the first 11
books. Yeah, Sherbet, great point. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Perrin becomes cool as hell the moment it's just a weave, Egwene. And from then on, when he like fully accepts himself as the wolf and he's like master of Teleron Riod and he is just like fucking shit up, that like Perrin is sick from then on. He's like doing his like crazy wolf run, like teleport through the dream back into the real world stuff. That stuff is dope. It just takes him so long to get there. Yeah.
So long. So like, yes, I want him to like grow and change faster, right? We connect with Matt and Rand so much more because we see them grow and change. We see them start one place, learn new information, struggle through adapting to that, and then they come out stronger, better, more interesting. Perrin just resists growing and changing for like 10 books, and it's frustrating.
Right. The problem is like Perrin's power is pretty OP. Like, I think like the only person maybe Perrin at the end of the books couldn't beat like one-on-one is Rand. But there's a chance he could kill Rand if he like catches him off guard.
In the dream world, for sure.
And like, but it just like once Perrin accepted the wolf, then he had like his little training montage with Hopper, and then boom, he's like all powerful.
Yeah.
So there wasn't an arc there. It was just like stall, accept power, all powerful, power level up. He has no growth. And I think like Robert Jordan maybe just didn't know how to handle that power in a way that felt like a natural progression of strength. And so we have the whole freaking like, you know, Shido arc and have to deal with Fael and the Shido camp and like, it's so boring. And it's like, but I'm just a blacksmith. Let me fix a wagon. It's like, you got to stop fixing wagons, Perrin. You got to make decisions for the camp. There's thousands of people depending on you. It's like, I'm just going to fix this wagon.
Frustrating. So yeah, I'm really excited to see the show like turn him to an actual character instead of just this like frozen thing that we have to witness for 11 books. Boring. Lil Stink Stink says, can I play devil's advocate though? You can always, when you picture a friends group in real life, you can always see someone being the magic school bus friend, just like Gawain being the class fuck up. Like our Robert Jordan just tried to make sure everyone is represented, even those who are annoying as fuck. I agree with you, Lil Stink Stink. I think that was a great place for him to start, right? That makes a lot of sense for a gentle giant who's afraid of using his natural inclinations towards violence and power. I just never saw him change or grow or learn anything. He just gets married.
I think
that's it. The only thing that happens to him is he gets married.
Perrin in the Eye of the World is actually okay. Like, it annoys me on rereads because I know what's coming and it's going to take so long for that to come. But if Perrin started out like that in the Eye of the World, look, like as a reader of fantasy, I read Perrin's chapters where he has this psychic wolf power and he fights against it so hard, and it pisses me off because I'm like, do you know what I would give to have magic psychic wolf powers? And
he's like so convinced that it's like, it must be a sign of the dark one. I must be evil. And literally every single person is like, it's not.
No, Moraine tells him it is. That's the thing. Like, he gets told it's not the dark one, but Moraine fucks him up because she's like, look, it's not a thing of the shadow. Wolves don't like shadow spawn. But you have to be really careful because if you give in to the wolf, you'll go crazy and the wolf will take over and you'll no longer be a man.
Yeah, because
she tells him that. And that is scary. Wow. And like, I understand, like, it's very like, of course, I read everything in every book I read as a queer analogy, but there are things that sometimes you take way longer to accept about yourself, even if everything is telling you it would be okay to accept it. And I just like, I think it's okay to start there.
Yes, definitely.
I do think eventually it becomes clear, though, like the wolves aren't the shadow. Elyas is still human after how many years?
Hello.
Like, he should just, Greyajah Sitter says, Rafe said Marcus Rutherford brought the room to tears with his performance, and I'm hoping he could provide the depths the character was robbed of in the books. And
I'm so excited. I do think Marcus Rutherford is like hot and exactly how I pictured Perrin. Like, I saw him and I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Made perfect. Like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, nailed it.
Okay, I have a question for you. First, I do want to recognize Sherbert Mango said that the Malden rescue itself was good. And yeah, I love that scene.
Totally. Love that.
The rescue is great. Like, that should be in the show, obviously. We just don't need the 10 years of buildup. So here's my question for you, Mary Lou, and for you in the chat, people. So it occurred to me this time around on my 5th reread, and I love doing multiple rereads because every time I see things differently. And Perrin's always like, you know, people think I'm dumb because I'm slow and I just like to take my time to puzzle through all the options.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always like taken Perrin's word for it.
Mm-hmm.
That like, yeah, he's a careful thinker, but he's smart. But other people just underestimate him. This time through, I'm genuinely wondering, like, is he dumb?
Smart?
Is he canonically dumb? Did Robert Jordan intend for him to be dumb? And we're just seeing what's inside this dumb guy's head because he's like, everyone thinks I'm dumb, but I don't think I'm dumb.
I think he might be dumb. like all the time, Robert Jordan shows us things where he like gets to things later, right? Like he has this thing with Min where he like thinks that Min's hitting on him. Remember in the camp in the mountains, the Dragon Reborn camp, or the, you know, people of the Dragon camp. And he's like, Min, I just think of you as a sister. And she's like, I wasn't talking about you. And he was like, oh, okay.
He is canonically
dumb. Oh, were you talking about Rand? And she was like, yes, what? Like, it took him so long to get there.
Yeah. I think he's like I think he's very intuitive. And I think that he is a good leader. I think he is a good guy. And I think he does actually come up with a good strategy to take on Malden. Like, that is him.
Yeah.
And like that, you know, Shan Banner General is like, you know, he's actually got some good ideas. So sometimes there's definitely evidence that he's not dumb. And this is just me I'm pitching this idea. I read the first multiple times I read the series, I thought Perrin was a smart but careful thinker, as he describes himself. I'm just wondering, is he though?
I mean, there's a reason that people call people like bright, smart, quick-witted, right?
Right.
And slow, right? Which one's Perrin? He's a little.
He is wholesome.
He's very wholesome. He's a himbo. I think of him as a himbo.
We should lay our cards on the table, though, Mary Lou, because we are coming from a very particular perspective of what we value. Mary Lou and I are improvisers by training and trade frequently. Comedians. And we place a lot of value on quick wit. You know, place a lot of value on that Matt Coffin quickness.
It's true.
And
we're a bit biased.
Are terrible long-term planners, terrible delayed gratification, terrible at anything that requires a
discipline,
longer mode of thought,
effort.
So maybe Perrin is just so foreign to us as a type of intelligence that we want to call him dumb to make ourselves feel better.
It's possible.
When maybe Perrin is what we need to be a little bit more like. I don't know.
I do love him.
Lil Stink says, he reminds me so much of my brother in real life. Full disclosure, he's almost 40 years old and hasn't changed from when he was 16. Like, Perrin's slow growth is totally realistic for me. Stares at brother.
A little bit of Arrested Development there.
Yeah. I don't think he is slow, says Sherbert Mango. He just has a very small worldview and low expectations. He's not ambitious, which I do think sets him apart in this world.
That is true. He doesn't want power.
Also, he's a hardcore introvert. His total lack of ambition is what allows him to succeed so frequently. Like his brutal, direct honesty, not putting up with the, game of houses bullshit.
Right. He's forced into leadership, right? Which makes him a good leader.
This was just an idea that popped into my head when I was rereading Eye of the World. I think later developments in Perrin's character, Lord Perrin Goldeneyes as leader of the Two Rivers camp et al. I think he actually is quite smart. He's just different from other characters. And Lionheart Leah says Fail is his ambition. She pushes him, and that's true. She is his Lady Macbeth.
She pushes him. She also pushes my buttons.
Fail. If we put out a character tier list video, which you can find on our YouTube channel, Maidens of the Spear. Little spoiler. Yeah, we're one of those channels that puts Fail in the D category.
Straight up. Lady Macbeth is a great comparison because she's bad.